What's up, YouTube? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and this is my quick review of the Eachine E010. Basically, just my thoughts on this thing after having it for a while and flying it around and all. I must say that this thing is awesome, man. It's a clone of the Inductrix, if you haven't noticed, and this thing mirrors the Inductrix performance just about. I would say that the Inductrix has a faster top yaw speed. Actually, the Inductrix, when you put it on high, it has a crazy yaw speed, but in my opinion, the yaw speed of the Inductrix is a little too much on high, so I usually tone the Inductrix yaw speed down when I fly it. But this thing seems like it has the perfect yaw rate on high, and it just flies really nice. Awesome flyer, flies just like the Inductrix. It acts the same way that the Inductrix does. For instance, when you're flying fast forward with it, if you let off all the sticks, it just comes to almost a still hover. You know, it'll drift a little, but it just really comes to a stop really nice, which makes this a perfect candidate for FPV modding, just like the Inductrix. It's a really awesome whoop if you want to whoop it. People are calling this thing the Chinese whoop when you whoop it. I just find that hilarious. But this thing makes a really awesome whoop as well. Just a really nice flyer, man. It's very quiet. The board on this is different. The screw mounts are different if you're going to whoop it. Let me remove the cover to show you guys that real quick. As you can see, it doesn't have screw mounts. Well, it has spots for screws on the sides there, but the actual board only has a screw here in the front and a screw in the back, and I think it's proportionally different than the Inductrix setup of the screws or whatnot. So everything isn't exactly the same, and I think this frame is a little heavier. I'm hearing that the frame is a little heavier than the Inductrix frame, and also it takes a different style connector. The battery is different and all, but this thing actually has some things over the Inductrix. This actually has an LVC warning, and it flies really long, 6 to 6.5 minutes with this thing. Makes it an awesome indoor flyer. Everything is protected here as far as the props and all. You can bang this thing around and keep going. It doesn't fall straight down once you bump into something. The accelerometer and gyro work well with bumping into things and keeping it in the air. So this is just a really nice option if you don't have the money for the Blade Inductrix, which is about $50 buying and fly. It might have gone down now since the new one came out, the new FPV version. But this thing is a really awesome flyer. I like it. It's not much of a night flyer because it only has a blue light up here in the front and then a red light in the rear. Now, the red light in the rear is a little more visible than the blue light. The blue light is underneath this canopy here, and it doesn't show through very well. But I'm hearing that if you cut the tip of the, just cut the tip of the canopy off, then the blue light comes shining through. But I just didn't want to modify it or anything before I did a review of some sort to it. So this is the battery here, little tiny battery. It has the same style connector that the Blade Nano QX 3D has. So it has that size connector on it. My camera's having a problem focusing on it. The battery is, let's see, 150 milliamp hour 30C 3.7 volt battery, but this thing lasts pretty long for it to be 30C discharge rate and only 150 milliamp hours. So I don't know, but this thing flies pretty long. It does nice flips. Sometimes it can not have a good recovery on the flips, but for the most part, this thing is just an awesome flyer. The Blade Inductrix doesn't have a one button flip. Oh, and the one thing I need to mention is that the Blade Inductrix does have full acro mode. This one does not have full acro mode. But if you're trying to whoop it or whatnot, you're not going to be flying acro anyhow and be able to do flips unless you put that new B brain in there, and that's a whole nother story. But anyhow, this is the transmitter here. The transmitter is somewhat of a disappointment. and that it's small like this, but good news is it is deviated. So if you guys have a Devo that's modded with deviation or whatnot, you can actually fly this with the Devo. Or if you have that 4-in-1 module for your Tyrannus, you can fly that as well. I think there's a Turnigy transmitter that takes that JR module as well to allow you to fly the toy grades. So you'll be able to fly it with that. But this transmitter is just small, and it's a lot of people don't like the tiny transmitters. I really don't have a problem with it, but it is small. It's not as good as the transmitter that you get with the that you would get for the Inductrix. Actually, the bind and fly of the Inductrix doesn't come with a transmitter, but if you get the ready to fly version, the transmitter is much better than this thing here, but the price is more hefty. This thing is going for maybe about 15 bucks, I think. I'm not sure, but the links will be in description. And that's it, the Eachine E010. Thanks for watching.